Hey guys, Nim here. Welcome to my first ever YouTube speed build video. I had so much fun on this build and almost as much fun doing the video. Like I said, this is my first one, so go easy on me, but also give me lots of great feedback. I can't wait to hear what you guys say. This is my build, Modern Mojave. It is a all base game, fully functional home in Oasis Springs that I did for the Yellow Plumb Bob Shell Challenge. This was such a fun challenge. I will link the build below as well as Yellow Plumb Bob's accounts and everything else below in the description. So please, please, please go check her out. She has amazing work if you haven't seen her already. I really loved this challenge. I love base game challenges in general. I think they're so much fun, and I think that making them fully functional is just such a great layer. And I think it really pushes people to be the best simmer designer they can possibly be, and get really creative with all the items in the debug menu, especially, which you can see here in the kitchen, which is fully functional. I just edited out all of the playtesting so you guys don't get bored watching my sim try and microwave oatmeal and chicken nuggets. The thing I really like about base game challenges are that you get to really explore new ways to use items that are super non-conventional, and I think it's so much fun. Like, for example, just there at the bar, I used lockers flipped around and turned, and that for the kind of background area, as well as making like a little custom like below counter refrigerator too, which is just so fun. I really, really like doing this build. I especially love all the colors and the textures in it. I think the wood tones go really well with like the natural kind of area and the surroundings. Here in a few minutes, you'll see me putting all the like wallpapers on the outside and inside. Those change a million times. And yeah, here we go right now. I just had so much fun with it. I love modern desert homes. I think they're just beautiful, and I just really had a great time doing it. This home is perfect for a small family or a single sim who likes entertaining people overnight potentially, because it does have 2 bedrooms. It's also got 2.5 bathrooms, a garage, living room, bar, entertaining dining room, kitchen, as well as a really fun bonus room downstairs that will come in later. That's kind of hidden right now. So I think one of my favorite things about doing this build and about doing base game challenges is that it's just, you really get to see how creative people can be. I know I referenced a lot of great tutorials and like videos for inspiration from all over the Sims community. Schnook is one of the hugest, best ones that I've seen. And then there's just countless more. I'll try and link a bunch below so you guys can go check them out if you haven't already. I know one of the things you'll see in this video a lot is me jumping around. One thing I've definitely learned about myself in putting this video together is I am very sporadic. I jump around all over the place from room to room. So I tried to kind of condense all that down a little bit for you guys so no one gets motion sickness. If you do, I'm so sorry. Please take a Dramamine and look at a single point on the horizon line. I know it helps me at least. So in here now, we're jumping into the garage and then the outdoor area right outside of it. I started doing some landscaping around here, but nothing I was really happy with. So I kind of, like I said, jump back and forth between that a lot. And here I'm just kind of doing quick planning for the bedrooms and the bathrooms. This is the guest bedroom and bathroom. And then I jump over to the master. You can see where I kind of cut video together a little bit because I was jumping around way too much, and you guys just would get really bored of that really quick, I think. And like I mentioned, I jump around back to and from landscaping and everything else. Here's me jumping through, doing living room, and kind of, I was like, oh, I should put carpet, and oh, I should put wall finishes and wallpaper in certain places, and like, oh, I need decor here. So you kind of see me jumping through some of that. One of my things I really enjoyed about this build was all the lighting. I hadn't really done much with custom lighting before, so really jumping into that and exploring it, and using Twisted Mexie's tool mod, which if you haven't used it, I highly recommend it. It is addictively good, and it's just so much fun, and it brings a whole new level of possibilities to your builds. So definitely check it out. I will link that below as well. And I didn't mention earlier, this home also has a little home gym and fitness center, which I think is awesome. And I think it's very indicative of the kind of sim I envisioned living here, which for me was, a single bachelorette sim who, enjoys working on themselves as much as they do kind of entertaining their friends and family and partying it up, basically. Jumping back down to the garage, I wanted it to be kind of like what my garage, if I could have one, would be, which is like, part workspace where your sim has plenty of room for tools and supplies. And it can be a little bit more homey than some of the more finished entertaining spaces in the home. And then it's also got storage, it kind of becomes a little bit of a junk room. At least here in the US, I think garages more often than not just become rooms for families to store their junk and, random holiday decorations and tools and, just all your bits and ends essentially. Out here on the patio, I really like this as like a little casual, grill, dining, cookout space. The nice thing about the stairs is that they're right next door. Like you go right through the door, you go upstairs, and you're again in the big entertaining space. So it's very easy for people to quickly, get in and out of this area. And of course, it's right next to the gorgeous swimming pool, because what would a desert home be without a pool? Here, I'm just trying to throw in some more decor. I wasn't really happy with a lot of this, to be honest. This was like the one area of the build that I really kind of wish I'd spent more time on. Back up here in the entryway, I really love this. I love doing little foyers with seating areas and just kind of casual art decor. I know this move I'm doing right now is actually, I think it's becoming a little bit of a staple or a signature for me, for better or for worse. I just really love the geometry of this whole setup. I did something very, very similar for Bunsimi's base game shell challenge that she did a while back. I'll link that below as well if you guys haven't seen it. It was so much fun, and you'll definitely see these same kind of elements of little nooks with nice art places and nice little shelving bits. And then speaking of shelving, I used a ton of shelving on the outside to create these really fun horizontal louvers that go around kind of all the big glass expanses of the building. If you guys don't know, that's something that I actually am really interested in the real world, is architecture. And part of that is solar shading. So for example, you put horizontal, what we call louvers, or like shades on the outsides of buildings, and they can help with control sunlight and heating and cooling of that sun coming into your space on the north and south sides of a building, which is really nerdy and you guys probably don't care about at all. But so I'll stop talking about real architecture, and instead I'll talk about all these new decks coming down. I realized that I had a big lot that I wasn't really taking advantage of, and so I was like, okay, how can I get down there without completely undoing the several days worth of work I've done to get all this landscaping, all these rocks and everything else in place. And I still change them and move them a million more times. But I really wanted to fill out the backyard and make it, something that can be really livable, but still is kind of clean and modern and stylish, that kind of goes with the rest of the house. And of course, more and more rocks. I love landscaping. I think it's so much fun. In another life, I'm sure I was a landscape architect or designer or something like that. One thing you probably saw as I was talking here that I completely ignored was the pool and the steps into the pool. They're of course not functional because we can't really do that in Sims yet, but I thought they were just a really fun, nice touch. And I really loved using the tool mod for them, just like I did here in the home office. This home office had several different kind of lifespans and iterations before I eventually settled on going with this route of the custom table with built-in shelving on the wall. This was completely inspired by Alex Sims. He did something similar a few months ago, I think it was, and I remember seeing it and I just remember loving it. And I think it was the most creative thing, and I just love that orange mirror as well, and I think it's just so useful. And so you'll actually see me use that mirror in a few different spots on this build in some very, I think, creative ways. So this home office was, I think, really nice. I think it came together really well. I think it was a good balance of being warm and being modern and not being too much of one thing or another. And you'll also here in a minute see me start to struggle with creating a custom book tree shelf. So this is all using the tool mod. I got so sick of it, it took me forever to do, so I cut all of the back end work out, so you see a little bit at the beginning and then you get to see the final product. It's just a lot of lessons learned and a lot of very small adjustments that will drive most people insane, or more insane in my case. So this is me creating that extra room, the bonus room below the building. So I wanted to do something that could be like a lot more casual, hangout space. And so I created this idea that was like an open to the outdoors, like, bring nature in kind of deal. I thought this was also a good room to put the second half bath, just because, I thought it'd be nice if you're entertaining in the real world, you would want something easily accessible. So your guests aren't, going up and down, a bunch of stairs, and they're not going into people's bedrooms necessarily to just use the bathroom while they're visiting. So yeah, that's where this kind of came into play. It's also because I realized at this point in the build, I didn't have anywhere with like a TV or just like a TV hangout room. And I kind of always love those. So I was like, okay, I have to do this. But I also loved keeping it open. So what we have there is like basically a folding glass wall that comes out that you guys see me rotating around and doing all kinds of fun things with. And then I just kind of finished off the ends of it with some of those debug columns. I also wanted to go a little bit more fun with the flooring. So this is just different colors of concrete swatches, just using the diagonal command to get that diagonal of the floor tile instead of the full floor tile. And I think it came out really great. I think it was so fun, and I think it really brought some character and life into this, more so than some of the other floor types I was looking at. And so with this, just some fun lighting, somewhere in one game pack or another, there's a tree that has these kind of lanterns hanging from it. And I love that tree. I've never gotten to use it, so I was really excited to use it in this build. And then I realized it wasn't base game. So I still really loved the idea of it, and I thought it was so pretty. So I instead just kind of made my own version of it inside using these lanterns, just scaled up and scaled down. In here, you just see me doing a little bit more decorating, finishing out this space. I thought it was just a really fun hangout space, good for hobbies, music, wine, of course, and lots of just kind of fun little odds and ends of decor with debug items. I also really like the idea of just creating a little path to get around. I wanted to make the backyard more accessible. It felt kind of isolated and hard to get to, so that's where you see some of those stone paths coming in. And then here you just saw me putting towels rotated up as pillows, which I think was also fun. I forget who came up with that idea, but I've seen it before, and I just think it's so nice. And then this is just a nice little outdoor patio, seating area, dining. This was also when I realized I really liked these lights, these wall sconces that were base game, but I was like, what can I do to make these a little bit more special? And so I rotated one of them 90 degrees up, and then I just fell in love with it. So I did it everywhere. And then this is, of course, another example of me being a very sporadic builder, jumping around from room to room, inside to outside, creating these little landscape nooks and areas, really bringing the desert and bringing nature and life, back into this build. So it's not too much of a, minimalist monolithic thing, which I love those. I just wasn't really in the mood to do one for this build challenge. And then this is more outdoor seating using lots of debug items. I also realized earlier in this build that I had to create just some like little temporary basements essentially to be able to size things up and move them up underneath items so that they wouldn't conflict with them. So that way this whole seating area is still totally functional. You can sit, you can nap, your sim can read, etc., all on it, and it won't be a problem, but it looks pretty finished and it looks nice and modern as well. Also, what kind of area is complete without loungers and being able to sun yourself, as well as a fire pit? So this is actually the lip balm case lid that I use the tool mod to flip, and then I just kind of sized it down, filled it with my, fireplaces and with lots of rocks. Not so much that you couldn't still see the fireplace because you have to be able to light it, of course, but enough that it really finished it all out. And then I just like more seating areas outside, so that's where you see those added in. This is jumping back to kind of the front entry. I loved doing that glass folding wall downstairs, so I brought that same idea upstairs here. This was just a little tiny garden that I wanted to put into that front foyer area because I wasn't really happy with anything I'd done in there thus far. This is the guest bedroom. You can see on the floor I did something really similar here to what I did in the bonus room downstairs. And then this was also me painstakingly creating some custom shelves and everything for the storage kind of in this room. Like I said before, this room could be a guest room, a second bedroom for a kid or a roommate, kind of whatever mean, whatever your heart desires, I suppose. This room also went through a couple different lives. Originally, this was a very pink and bright and happy, like teenage girl kind of room. And I was almost completely done with it when I realized I didn't like any of it. And I scrapped the whole thing, which was only about, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 hours worth of work and building. I'm very indecisive, and like I've said before, I like jumping around and I get a lot of different ideas all at once. And so things change very frequently in my builds, as I think you guys can probably tell by now if you haven't seen me here or on Instagram before. But this was just a lot of decor going through. There's one thing I've always realized. Whenever I do these base game challenges, I realize every time, for some reason, that I've forgotten how spoiled I am by packs and how much I admire people who do base game challenges regularly or who only work in base game, just because it is very limiting compared to having all the packs. I don't have all packs yet, but even just, when you only have 3 or 4 packs, it's very drastic to go back from that when you're used to finding all these regular things and back to only having base game. Earlier, I mentioned how much I enjoyed doing custom lights for this build. This is one that I saw and I started doing. I saw the potential for it and I just got so excited. It's using those little debug glass cubes, kind of like what we used for the below counter refrigerator in the bar area. Sized it up a little bit and then just moved it up and put a light inside. And then, of course, what bathroom would be complete without a little shelf inside as well. So here you just see some fun decor, debug items going through. I also at one point realized that shelf that I just floated upwards was in the way of the actual sinks themselves. So you'll see that gets replaced eventually, and then things get shifted around and rotated. What's interesting is, so what looked like little white handles below that brown countertop are actually the stick out counterpieces for what's those sinks are tied into, which is just one of those base game bar counters. But I thought they looked like handles and I really liked that look, so I kept it and I decided to not change anything about it. Here, just touching up with some more wallpaper, more wall decor for the home office, trying to make it, feel a little bit more masculine, because in my head, this was something for, a more masculine sim, whoever they may be. And then jumping back around into the master bedroom. This one was really fun. I really enjoyed doing some custom cabinets and, the wardrobe up here, but again, everything is still totally functional and usable. And what's nice about this is that it's kind of a good way to break out the space a little bit without being too, divided or too clustered up anywhere. So one thing I'm doing here is I wanted to create a platform for the bed. So I used those lockers that I used before at the bar area, flipping them with the tool mod, and then raising them up from the floor below so that way they don't get in your sim's way as they try and get in and out of bed. And I just thought that was great. Another great thing about the tool mod is you get to do this. So I mentioned before that we were going to use that modern mirror a bunch. Here's the other example of that. This is the little custom, fully functional, again, fireplace in the front entry area of the build. Using that mirror and then surrounding it with debug columns. And then I put my wood pile kind of below it and then up into it. So your sim can still light it, but it's a little less obvious that there's, a fireplace in there. That's one of the base game fireplaces. And then so just jumping around, doing a little bit more with lighting. I wanted to do a little bit more in that room as well. Decor in the bathroom. I realized here around this point that I did not like the wallpaper in here. So after I finish the lighting, you'll see me go back through and kind of update that as well. And then I also realized I wanted to do something on these walls to break it out, but at this point I was starting to get a little tired of all of my base game only decor restrictions. So I looked to Pinterest and Instagram and other places for sources of inspiration, and that kind of led to some of the placement with the mirrors and with some of those decor and debug items. Here I just kind of wanted to finish out that wardrobe a little bit more, so you'll see that come through. The nice thing about this is that it kind of shows you can have potentially room for, two Sims, whether it's, two partners or husband and wife, etc. And here I really love photo walls. I've been doing a lot of these. I was recently told they're called salon walls, actually, or salon art walls, I think. I'm probably getting that so wrong. Someone please correct me later. So I did that. You'll also see that I just kind of boxed in those stairs to the basement a little bit more. They felt a little haphazard before. And then now I'm just jumping into the living room. That table is actually one of the just standard base game shelves, just sized up a lot. And then I just kind of really like the look of it. I thought it was a nice minimal profile, and I thought it was a fun thing to do. So then you'll just see kind of decor coming in, bookcases, because what home is complete without books? None, in my opinion, both in the real world and in the Sims worlds. So you'll see those, as well as just kind of trophies. I feel like the person who lives here probably has a lot of accolades to their name, so I wanted to really drive that home, that this is the home of someone successful and, well off, essentially. And so here's just another little bench area. I wanted to finish out that seating, but I didn't want to block your views from the couch out into kind of the scenery outside. And then, of course, what other home is complete without lots of music? So you'll see me add those. And then here, just jumping back around, lots of jumping. I'm so sorry again. You'll see me adding in kind of the finishing touches for all these different rooms. The kitchen, I realized I kind of forgotten to put any decorations into. So I was like, okay, crap, what do I do? So I ran in and, ran through my debug menu, and I ran through a few different kind of layouts until I was really happy with one. And I think that's about where it settles, is right here. So you'll see kind of all that coming through. I don't know about you guys, but I think kitchens are one of my favorite things to decorate, but also sometimes the most tedious, just because I feel like I'm always running out of new things to put into kitchens. Here in the dining area, I did make that a custom but functional table. It was actually pretty easy to do. I first saw the idea on Baka Ideas. I'll link them below. Essentially, you just take your normal dining table and then scale it all the way down, cover up what's left, and then what's nice is you can just kind of create whatever top you want. And here I also wanted to do a sliding barn door. I was kind of bored with this little corner. I thought it was lackluster. So I was like, what can I do? And so barn door just immediately popped into my head. Again, doing it with just debug and base game items was always an interesting challenge, but I'm actually really happy with how it turned out. I think it looks really nice. And then, of course, as soon as I did this and submitted it and uploaded it to the gallery, a day later, I saw on Instagram someone posted the most amazing barn door base game thing ever. I was like, oh, okay, well, where was this 2 days ago when I was doing all of this? So I think next time I'll definitely reference that. But I'm still pretty pleased with this. It's just a nice little seating area in there as your spare bedroom, essentially. And then outside, I realized I had these, nice balconies with beautiful views that had no furniture at all. So you'll see me kind of placing some of that. I was trying to figure out how to do those 2 loungers, and I wasn't really happy with any of them. So then I was like, oh, I'll put them together. And then you'll see I use those pillows, just rotated up to kind of hide the break in between them. And then just kind of surround everything with plants, give it some light outside, and you're basically good to go. Because, no space is complete without plants, of course. And here, using that same kind of classic trick of rotating those pillows up. I know a lot of people use one of those base game chairs for pillows, but whenever I do it myself, I never like how it looks compared to when other people do it. I just think theirs always looks so much better than mine, so I give up on it much more quickly. Here, I'm back in the master bedroom, just kind of figuring out what lighting and what kind of style I want to do in here that I haven't already done elsewhere. And I kind of end on this with those 2 nice little wall sconces, and then just kind of some very simple, more minimal decor, but with, family photo and, trying to make it a little bit more personal, essentially. And then in here, I wanted to create a little seating nook, as well as just an extra little, slightly more informal, shelf library area for whoever is sleeping in here to hang out. And then just putting some decoration items on those. The lighting in here I did really like as well. I know I've been saying that a lot, so sorry I'm constantly repeating myself. But I thought it was really fun to take this wall sconce and basically double it up and then do something very similar out here in the big living room area. I really like these wall sconces as hanging pendants, and so I did a little cluster of 3. And I never was quite happy with the actual positioning of them. I'm still not, but you know, it's too late now, obviously. So you'll see that in the gallery whenever you go check it out to download it and place it. Also, as always, don't forget to use move objects before placing anything. I am terrible about that and I constantly forget, so be better than me and always make sure that you have it on before placing anything from the gallery of mine into your worlds. And if you guys do use this one and do download it, please let me know how it is, you know, what you like, what you don't like in terms of playing in it. And if you guys make any changes to it, you know, I'd love to see what your thoughts are and, you know, how you guys decide to change decorations or, you know, do anything with it. So out front here, I realized, and I note about this, but I kept forgetting that the back of my little, like, essentially custom counter cabinet was sticking out of the front of my building. So I was like, how can I hide it? So I came up with that little planter box. And then here, you know, I started going crazy with landscaping and more rocks everywhere. And later you'll see me get into a lot of my terrain painting as I go through and finish kind of everything out more. But yeah, so here I'm making that little path going all the way down, so it feels like everything's a little bit more kind of connected and circular, whereas before it was a little bit more limited and stunted out there. But like I said earlier in this video, I really love landscaping. I think it's so much fun. I love rocks, probably more than is healthy, but I really do. And I'm constantly changing things around. And then I'm also constantly inspired by what you guys and everyone else out there is doing with landscaping. I have such a long way to go, it feels like, you know, before I'm ever going to be on the same level as some builders. But you guys just constantly inspire me with everything that you do. And it's just so pretty out there. So yeah, going back up here, this was my little planter box. And then, of course, added some plants for decor. I realized I didn't really like any of the railings in base game for the front of the house, and I didn't want to interrupt the views, so I just did one of those really short little base game fence lines around the perimeter, so it kind of delineates that edge without obstructing the views as much. So here, I'm really just going through, doing some final touches. I kind of do this periodically with every build, but especially at the end of the builds, I run through and I see, okay, what do I like? What do I not like? You know, what do I need to add? You know, like here, for example, I was like, oh, I wanted to do waterfall counters. I completely forgot about that. And oh, I wanted to change the color of the backsplash. So, you know, I kind of run through and I do a lot of that stuff. And then, you know, I find these little things where I want to adjust the colors. I want to, you know, make sure I play test things, that everything still works. And, you know, I'm not missing any decor. And for the most part, I try and catch everything that's, you know, floating off in space or just adding final touches. There are, of course, things I will always miss in the guest bedroom. I realized after uploading that there were like 3 different pieces of floating decor over one of the tables that I had never really noticed or bothered to check on. So I'm always going to miss stuff, but it's not too bad. Anyway, this is it for me. I really hope you guys like this build. Please go check it out on the gallery. Check down below in the description for everybody who I've referenced in this video. They're all such amazing, talented simmers. And yeah, anyway, I really hope you guys like it. Drop a comment below and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks, guys. Bye.